Just to give you a little background on myself, my name is Sarah Jane Morris. I am the marketing manager at iPerceptions. I've been with the company just over a year now, and I'm responsible for essentially all the marketing initiatives for the company. And I'm very much close to the data that we provide for our customers, and we use it for ourselves as well. I have a background in the internet. I've been actively blogging since the late 90s, created my first website in the mid 90s, so I've really been in the space and seen it evolve over the last decade. So yes, as I mentioned, Michael did set us up very well. He did let us know that despite the fact that we're in a bit of a difficult economic time, we can still turn to the web as a very reliable place to get our data from, and we can use it as probably one of the best marketing channels in this day and age, in these tough times, to approach segmenting our visitors, getting the targeted messaging out there, and using tools like 4Q, you'll be able to perform, very sound analysis. So we're working closely with the WSI consultants to bring 4Q forward and get more people tuning into the voice of customer. So what I'd like to talk about a little bit, to set a bit more context for you, is the do's and don'ts of website analysis and traffic data. So traditionally, we've been looking very closely at traffic data coming from things like server logs in the early days of the internet, all the way through to more robust tools such as Google Analytics. So just to get a gauge of the audience, how many people here use Google Analytics on their site? Great, that's excellent. So it's very clear that Google Analytics is firmly entrenched in the internet marketing space. It's an essential tool for everyone. Looking at this kind of analytics data provides part of the picture for your internet marketing plans, but what we propose is that there's more to it than that, and you need to set more of context for your visitors' experiences in order to get the full picture. So just to give you an example of what just looking at clickstream or traditional web analytics data, the kind of insight it can provide you with, what I'd like to do is take you through an example of a real visit to a store. So say we were to use Google Analytics to analyze an actual brick and mortar visit to a Walmart. Using this data, we'd be able to know that a visitor came to a Walmart on a Sunday afternoon. They spent about 36 minutes at the store, walked up and down 3 aisles, and left. If we look closely at the session data and dig into the cart information, you can see that they made 3 purchases. They bought a pregnancy test, some Gravol, and some denture adhesive. So if we were to just look at these items isolated, what kind of image would we paint of our visitor? Is this our visitor? Highly unlikely. So this just goes to show that without context, it's very hard to know who's coming to your site and what their real purpose was. I'm going to use another example. So people are more and more tuning into the voice of their customers through things like isolated feedback tools. So here's a lingerie website. This site, on the top nav, you can see there is a feedback tool, and users have been using it. The website owner logs in, checks his feedback data, and notices some feedback. A visitor is requesting some bigger images. So being a very conscientious webmaster, the image size is increased, but the data keeps coming back. The user keeps asking for larger images. So bigger images are given to the visitor. Now, the webmaster made these changes in the hopes that they were appeasing their 18 to 34-year-old female audience looking to purchase, when in fact, without any context, they didn't realize that this visitor was a 15-year-old boy just looking to take a closer look at the female form. So again, some context on using these tools sort of in an isolated way and not bringing them together. So, what is analysis? What is proper analysis? Looking at your Google Analytics data is very important. It's important to get an idea of who's converting on your site, the amount of traffic that's coming in, and where it's coming from. But again, as Michael referenced and went through in his part of the presentation, the 4 key questions that will set context for you are: who is here, why are they here, how am I doing, and what do I need to fix? So, and even more context for you. Even after 10 years of the internet being sort of prevalent in everyone's lives and e-commerce being readily used by many audiences, the e-commerce industry is still only converting, actually websites as a whole are still only converting at a low level of 2 to 3%. And this is the same data that it's been for 10 years now. So we look at conversion as things like an actual purchase, downloading a white paper, filling out a lead generation form, hard measurable things. What we propose is that the majority of what that website owners should be looking at the 97% of activity that's going on in the rest of their site. Without being able to know what the 97% is doing, there's no way to increase the 2 to 3% that is converting. So again, we are really pushing forward task completion as an important metric. Task completion, everybody knows when they come to a website, they have a purpose in mind. It can be as simple as reading a blog, looking for updates, looking at pictures, or it can be a little bit more complex, comparing prices, comparing products, etc. But very few website owners actually know that what percentage of their visitors are actually doing this, and whether or not they're successful. So that's where we come in. We provide insight into this task completion metric and this 97% with voice of customer analytics, and behavior analytics is still very important in measuring the conversion, the hard conversion rates. So Michael did reference Avinash Kaushik earlier in the conversation. Has anybody here heard of him? Excellent. So Avinash is the Google Analytics evangelist, and he is a real thought leader in the web analytics space. And what he's done is put forward two models of web analytics. So Web Analytics 1.0 is what is sort of the traditional approach to web analytics that website owners have been looking at for the last 10 years or so. So exclusively clickstream data. And if you're only looking at clickstream data, it's only going to provide you with sort of a very small amount of insights. Insights nonetheless, and it's an important part of your toolkit, but what you need to be doing is taking a multifaceted approach to web analytics and ultimately yielding greater insights. Again, sort of along those lines, progressive web practitioners are in the habit of combining both their behavioral data along with their voice of customer data, and using these two approaches, you can get a complete 360-degree view of your customer and their entire website experience. So again, segmentation is key on the internet. Without being able to segment your your traffic and be able to provide them with the appropriate content and messaging, you're not going to see increased task completion rates and ultimately increased conversions. First step to take in segmenting this kind of data. Again, as I mentioned, everyone who comes to a website has a purpose in mind. Some of the options are on the screen, but it varies. There's a lot of different potential purposes of visit when coming to a website. So here we're looking at some actual data from an automotive company. This data shows us that 40.64% of the visitors came to the website to take a look at features or options for a vehicle. Now, if we were to look at this data and drill into the task completion rates here, we'd be able to know if this website is actually serving the majority of its traffic. Another segmentation tool that's important is demographic data. So we look here at the same automotive data. We can see that about 34% of the visitors are aged 25 to 34, when in reality, the target audience for this automotive company is 35 to 44. So this kind of data can be provided to marketing to perhaps try different marketing campaigns to approach the right demographic. Again, voice of customer data in the kinds of solutions that we provide can also validate your existing web analytics data. So we do include path to site in our enterprise solution as one of the questions that we pose to our audiences in our surveys. Frequency of visit is another excellent segmentation metric. This metric can actually be a very good measure of loyalty for a website. So if you know how many times the majority of your visitors are coming to your site, it's a very good gauge of loyalty and brand affinity.